Jamie. That's like, we can sell it for anybody, it's very low. I don't know. That's not. Oh. That's interesting.
Okay, call the order. Start the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for all. Welcome to the roll call.
Alderman Fairwell. Alderman Rita.
Here.
Alderman Montoya.
Here.
Alderman McGee.
Here.
Alderman Carr. Here. Alderman Rowe. Four present, Your Honor.
Thank you. Need a motion to approve the minutes from the last committee of the whole meeting, December 14th, 2022. Motion Alderman Carr, second by Alderman McGee. Any questions? Clerk, please do the roll call.
Alderman Rita.
Aye.
Alderman Montoya.
Aye.
Alderman McGee.
Aye.
Alderman Carr.
Aye.
Any public comments? Public comments? Public comments?
Good evening, everyone. How are you? Alan Steve-O, 2324 Union Street. It's an honor coming before you this evening. Over 45 years I've been coming to these meetings, studying the government as a fully before. Tradition of residents come to council meetings and ask questions and receive answers from our elected is very important to residents. The money's for the new streets. Can you tell us where it came from? Federal money, COVID money, where? How much was spent on the new streets? Was there a bidding process? It seems that public comment is not working. We need public statement, questions answered by our elected. It would work better, we think. Veterans Triangle at Western and Gregory needs a POW MIA flag since it was dedicated to our military. And I know you study history and one of your things is about history, and I think that's a great thing that you understand our history. The load limit signs need to be enforced on new streets. The former public works superintendent couldn't get him to do that. New streets and alleys, low limit signs. This is just an observation, you know, I'm not attacking anybody, just a different way of looking at things. We have to understand that this administration is entering its 10th year. And maybe the false narrative needs to stop, but it is entering its 10th year. You mentioned last night that former superintendent did 8 years of sewer and water work. That's a good thing. That's a really good thing. This was under the auspices of Mayor Vargas. He didn't take a vacation for 8 years. We have to keep in mind that the garbage contract, it will be started by the lawyers. And the Alderman will vote on what is decided by the lawyers. Keep in mind that heavy garbage trucks are daily damaging the new streets and our alleys. Years ago in July, when we had our own garbage trucks, and they were smaller, they had plows on them, they plowed the alleys, the streets, and water. And maybe we should go to back to the smaller trucks. The appropriations meeting should be posted so residents can watch and ask questions. I think it should be public meetings. The hospital is our future. Adult cannabis or gambling is not. Blue Island needs the hospital open and functioning as possible. I would like to see the Alderman have a monthly meeting on the progress of opening up the hospital. Mayor, do you happen to know the who's that are being shot there? Are they causing damage to the hospital? And are they also required to repair the damage after they cause the damage? You gotta remember the hospital is our future. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Moving on, we're under new business, urban forestry board grant update. Val?
Hello there, everyone.
Hey, go ahead.
Happy New Year. Great, Happy New Year. So, wanted to, again, reiterate that, the 2022-24 urban and forestry, urban and community forestry grant was awarded to Blue Island. This will include a complete tree inventory, an assessment of all of our parkway trees and publicly owned trees. So that will include the rec center as well as the golf course. That will be happening along with a 10-year management plan for these trees. So if there's any trees that are in serious risk, if they will be assessed and they can be, it'll help to move forward. It'll help Public Works move forward with their management plan. This management plan will be over 10 years. And it will also include a updated tree ordinance, which we're about 95% there from the forestry board. And that will have to be enacted by, for the grant to be complete by July of 2024. So we have about a year to work out the fees and assessments and fees and such. So this is pretty exciting news. Another grant that Blue Island has been awarded, tree grant that has been awarded, that we just found out last week, was the Chicago Calumet tree grant. So Blue Island will receive within this next year about 75, anywhere from 75 to 100 trees. And this will be public outreach planting. So we will be working with either schools or community and getting these trees planted in public spaces. And that is through the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. So pretty exciting. We just kind of want to make everyone aware. One thing, we will be meeting this Friday with Great Lakes Urban Management, Urban Tree Management. Steve Lang is the lead forester on this, and he will be, it'll be his company that will be working with us on the tree inventory as well as the management plan moving forward. We did, we did reach out to at least 3 different companies or companies this past summer when we were working on the grant to make sure that we were going with the best company. And we had 3 assessments come back. We're going with Steve's company because I think it would be, and I talked to Nick about this, the best one to go with for Public Works to implement, because they'll use Google's map, and they're not asking us to purchase another software. And is there any questions about that?
No. I apologize. I didn't think I seen it in the packet, but how much is the first grant and the second grant?
For sure. So the first grant is going to be, it's a matching grant, and the exact grant that we went for, I believe, was $23,000, just under that.
50-50?
Mm-hmm. And then for the Chicago, it's called the Chicago Calumet National Wildlife Foundation. That we have just been awarded 75. We are part of the Chicago Region Tree Initiative. We're a part of, we'll be the recipient, and the actual awardees for Chicago Region Tree Initiative.
Okay, 75
to 100 trees. Yep.
Thank you. Wasn't sure if you
Oh,
were
no.
talking about dollars or, yeah, something like 100 trees.
The next one that's on the docket, is a large one that just came through. This is federal tax dollars, and it's with the Inflation Reduction Act. And that one, we will be partnering with Open Lands. They're asking for our support letters. And with that, it could provide resources for training as well as maybe equipment, and maybe subcontracted work for like tree prunings. Just in the last year that Blue Island Forestry Board has been up and running, we did apply for Tree City USA status, and we've been approved by the state. And we will be moving forward with the Arbor Tree, Arbor Foundation. Any questions or thoughts or
Yeah,
concerns?
really quickly, have you already figured out where these trees are gonna go, or do you have a general idea, or?
There has been a couple people that have reached out, a couple residents that have reached out about doing memorial trees. And there is a short list of people that have requested trees. I know through our assessment, with the, when we were applying for the grant, I went to a couple different resources on our tree canopy and where we are the lowest. And it is the golf course with 3% tree canopy. And when that golf course went in 25 to 30 years ago, I think it was planted with honey locust, pear, willows. I mean, the willows are actually kind of pretty, but they were planted up high, so many of them have just split, and they need more a wetter condition. There are some beautiful oaks out there, but there was a lot of red maple, which was the tree of choice at that point. So I think we want to add some diversity and some higher quality trees in that area, which I was thinking might be really cool to work with as a high school on that, because we'd be something that they could, the students could come over. So that's just me and the wheels turning a bit, so.
Well, if any trees are getting planted in my ward, I'm more than willing to help out.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, we can
Yes.
make that happen. And actually with National Fish and Wildlife, that is a water remediation area, so I know in your ward that what's at the northeast end, that's your ward, yes. So there is flooding issues, so we can definitely help you out with that, or try to help you out. Okay,
Appreciate it.
yeah, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Alderman
The 75 to 100 trees that we're getting, will they fit in the preferred tree list that we have?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. That is actually getting updated. Our forestry board, we should be having our own website, or at least a web page with all that information, so it'll be easily accessible for all of our residents. And we will be hosting a, well, it'll be first ever town hall meeting on January 26th here. And at that time, we will definitely have more opportunity up there. I will be discussing the grant and the different opportunities, as well as the importance for trees, just so everybody, anyone who wants to know in Blue Island knows about these initiatives. And it was already posted in the water bill, and I thought I'd put it up there on Facebook. And the last that we can use. Everyone.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Good job.
Okay, yeah.
Moving on the mayor's reports. First thing is the ordinance, the business regulations, alcoholic liquor. Just two minor changes to our ordinance that the council is very happy with. One is outline bottle service, full bottles of hard alcohol being sold. And a nuisance activity, declaring that a nuisance declared any premises licensed or unlicensed used to conduct the sale of alcoholic liquors in violation of the Control Act. And a bunch of legal stuff there, basically saying property of nuisance, it's considered a nuisance by its staff, agents, patrons of the license, shooting and gunfire outside licensed premises by the premises patrons, we consider a nuisance activity. Everybody in favor or against, or any suggestions? All
How many bars actually have bottle service in the bottle?
I believe only one. Bottle services is served on site, full bottle.
Right. I just wondering.
Any other questions? Now we'll be on the next city council agenda. Garbage ordinance, we talked pretty much about it last night. Development and city staff is still working out some numbers and looking at the next meeting. The fire pit ordinance. So currently the city council needs to decide, and I don't think it's a big decision, is there any opposition to the fire chief working with city staff to work out a fire pit ordinance? Currently, it's against having any kind of fire pit. Probably 50% of our residents do have some kind of fire pit, but it's not legal. So most towns have this in a controlled ordinance. I know the fire chief has a lot of suggestions. I think we could bring something to the next council unless there's somebody that feels strongly against this. We can leave it alone. If not, if we push to the next agenda, we'll probably boilerplate something other communities doing after input from the fire department and legal. So I just want to make that aware. We had some issues over this past summer of it's just not allowed at all. And it's where the police, how they enforce it, that it's not allowed in a backyard fire pit. You also can't have somebody burning garbage. So we just need to define what we are allowing. Under mayor's announcements, I mentioned this before, I mentioned again, this is a light agenda. Very soon, our law firm will bring forward a proposal to amend the TIFs or primarily just the one TIF. The Gordon's gas station TIF does not touch other TIFs. And I mentioned this before, probably a year ago, we discussed it. That TIF application being paid to the business owner for the development of the gas station, I think was paid off at the end of this year. It's a 2-year process. What you want to do is have TIFs touch so you can port money from one to the other for capital investment in the community. Right now, if nothing is done, that is just sitting there, you can't use it for anything other than giving it back to the authorities. So the easiest objective is to go up Vincennes or up Western Avenue, whichever one's easier, where it touches a bunch of residential side streets, so that those can be used then revenue created out of that. So it's not a complicated process, but it has to go through at least city council and approval. So it's amending, it's not creating a new one, it's amending an existing one that's on the books. That's going to be on the books for 20 more years, but if we don't amend it, the money won't be able to be touched. It just sit there and accumulate, and eventually it becomes an issue because we can't use it, but not for intended purpose. Alvin?
I'm sorry, what did you say that it's the last payment, right?
This year's our last payment.
This year, when? December 2023?
Yeah.
You guys know how much this by chance?
200,000 a year.
Is that what, I couldn't remember.
I think it's 200,000 a year. Around there. It's around there. I can look. It's around there always. And it's the last one part of our agreement that built the gas station.
Yep.
And again, if let's say we make a payment, which is fine, we're good for this year, but it's a 2-year process to do this. We're kind of already a year behind. That means in 24, that 200 is just going to sit there. We can't touch it. Then it becomes 400 and it's 600. It just sits there for 1 year. You can't touch it unless it touches a neighborhood or another property or another city. It just is locked into that one PIN number. So it's coming down the pipe. We're waiting for the attorney to review it, and it'll be a future agenda. But I figure I might as well mention it now in case there are any less questions down the pipe when we see it on the agenda.
We said it's coming down Vincennes.
Whatever is the easiest route, it's at least 5 pins, so it's the easiest. There's so many pins you can go when you extend it to. But it's either going to go up Western Avenue, go up Vincennes. Either way, it's going to touch the same streets. So that's the objective, our streets, right? So either way, it's commercial. So the more commercial pins you can include in it, the easier it is to extend. Doesn't affect the tax bill in any way. TIFs don't affect tax bills in any way. It's just a tool municipalities use with capital improvements. That's all I have. City attorney, city clerk.
You did that, but you not have.
City attorney. City administrators. All right, automatic announcements. All right, if not, you motion to adjourn. Motion by Alderman Rita, second by Alderman McGee, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?